In the fast-paced world of business, finding a clear path to profitability can be a challenge. Welcome to 0 to 100 with your host, Jared Guy Randolph, seasoned business and finance expert. Tune in for actionable insights and strategies to accelerate your business success.
Hello, Accelerators. Today on 0 to 100, I am very happy to introduce our guest, Josh Chananie, who is an accountant extraordinaire. He's a partner at SAX LLP, who represents over 3,000 SMB clients, and he's been in the industry for over 20 years. Some of the topics that we will cover will be everything from how to clean up your financial data, outsourcing the right professionals who are going to help you grow your business, preparing to sell your business right now, today, whether or not you're actually going to sell it, and some key mindset that you need to have as an entrepreneur that are going to impact the success of your business. Really get to listen into those. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jared Guy Randolph. I am the founder of BoxFi. We are the nation's leading payment consultant, providing business growth solutions through payment processing. And I'm very excited to share the network that I have built over my 25-year entrepreneurial journey to help you grow your business and become more profitable. Ladies and gentlemen, let's accelerate together. Josh Chananie, thank you for joining us on 0 to 100.
Awesome, Jared. Happy to be here.
I'm excited for our conversation today because I think you're going to give the audience a really unique perspective on how they should be looking at their business, their accounting, and their financials. There's something I want to start with first, and when we had our pre-call, you mentioned something that I thought was really cool, and it's unique in terms of what I've heard from other providers in the industry around your entrepreneurial mindset. And you described yourself as an entrepreneur who happens to do accounting. How does that influence the way in which you do your business and work with your clients?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think puts me on the same level as them, right? I think it says, look, I'm coming in, put the accounting aside, right? I run a business, you run a business. Let me put myself in your shoes, right? And what that helps me do is helps me be honest, right? It helps me be open. It helps me to be transparent and say, look, if this was my money, this is what I would do. And I think that is the ultimate, what most consultants do not do today, right? It's, let me offer you a bunch of suggestions. Let me caveat the hell as to why I can't give you a straight answer. Right. And be like, listen, you're a smart guy, your business. I'm sure you'll make the right decision. That sounds terrible.
So when you put yourself in the shoes of that business owner, how should they be looking at running their business most efficiently from an accounting standpoint?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, Jared, that a lot of people don't realize, and maybe it sounds simple, is clean data, right? Like, it's amazing how many times you go and you have conversations with folks and they think they know the numbers, but they really don't, right? Because a lot of times it's, we use this concept, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
If the information that's coming from your system is not accurate, and then you're using that information to drive your business forward, well, then, how do you make the best decisions, right? So it's so important to have clean, good, I'll even say historical, right? It's like, oh, I'll just clean the shit up today and it'll be fine. No, right? You still need to look at trends, even if it's 2 to 3 years.
Right.
But to me, that is the biggest miss that most people have. They think they know what they have, but they really don't know what they have.
So I'm a business owner. My books are a mess. My finances are a mess. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot we were on a
Oh, it's okay.
I forgot we were on a podcast. Lord, forgive me. All jokes aside, it's just in disarray. And we've all been there as business owners. What should be the first step that we take to get everything sorted out so it isn't overwhelming?
Yeah, I think you have to find the right person, right? Whether it's a controller, many times people think they need a CFO. One, they can't tell you the difference between the two, but they just assume a CFO is the right person, right? You need to find the right, whether it's your own trusted professional outside the organization or inside the organization. And they need to get the books where they need to be. Now, I think you certainly want to vet these people, make sure they have the right background, education. And then I find would be very helpful is if they know the industry, if they worked in the industry, there's a lot of inherent knowledge of just how things work and how numbers flow by working in an industry that you're familiar with. Doesn't mean that you can't adapt or learn. I mean, a lot of people are very smart and able to do that. But I think I think you've got to find somebody you trust. You vet them properly. You let others vet them, right? Let them come highly recommended, check their references, and tell them to get to work and get the books up to speed so that you have a starting point for your business where now you can make decisions about what the future looks like.
You know, having the right team member is a given, but the expertise in your industry really is key. And for the audience, find that expert who understands your industry and the nuance where you don't have to teach them. Most small and medium-sized business owners don't have time to spend to actually teach someone the business as much as they might like them or they're their friends. I have made the mistake myself hiring people at all levels of my business who didn't know it, and actually they didn't add value. They cost me time, they cost me money, and the business didn't grow because of that. So that is something that is really key. And from a finance standpoint, Josh, tell our audience of business owners what their financial team needs to look like to assure that they are going to be successful and grow their business.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So, at a very basic level, we need to make sure that we have enough people where we can have adequate segregation of duties, right? Meaning that not too many people control too many aspects of the transaction cycle, right? Meaning that I don't do the purchasing, get the invoices, process the check, reconcile the bank statement, right? Where I control all aspects of it, right? So we need to protect ourselves, right? As a business owner, we need to make sure that our money, that it's our hard-earned money, is very well protected, right? That's one way you do it. Then I think you've got to be realistic about the size of the company and really what the staffing needs are, right? I think a lot of times people will tend to say, well, look, we're doing X amount of business. We're going to grow 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, and we're going to scale. We gotta fill the bullpen with lots of people. I don't think that's right? I think you got to really understand what your capacity is, one. Two, I think you have to understand really what you can afford. And three, I think as part of that, you have to also embrace whether hiring an outsourced professional is more valuable and more cost conscious than going and hiring somebody internally, right? I know, and look, it's something that I struggle with, Jared, all the time, this whole in-office versus remote concept. But the reality is there are a lot of really smart people out there who just don't work in an office anymore.
Yep.
And what's the trade-off, right? Knowing I only have a certain amount of budget, am I better off buying expertise, or am I better off buying a friend who comes in and says hello to me every day?
Right. This is something that's very important that business owners need to listen to. And it's a mistake that I have made. Do not hire based on projections for your business. Hire where you are currently in the marketplace. And also, bringing in an outsourced professional could be one of the best things for your business, especially when they are 1099 versus W-2'd. You run into a lot of issues around taxes and legality when they are a W-2 employee, and it's not always easy, depending on where you are, to just fire that person. Until you get to the point where you truly need someone full-time, you should be looking at outsourcing. And Josh, I love that you said that, because I wish I would have known that at other points in times in my career, but we live and we learn and we grow.
That's all we can, right? And it's about embracing what's in front of us today, right? I think there's part of us that can be selfish, and then there's part of us that has to be realistic about what are really the opportunities around us.
Right. So we're really focused on this conversation on talking about what your financial ecosystem looks like. And I have 4 pillars just in life in general. The first pillar is conscious awareness, then it's determined imagination, constant spaced repetition, and getting emotionally involved. So when you look at those 4 things, that conscious awareness is really important when it comes to being a business owner and your business and personal finances. And a lot of us have financial disconnects and have a really negative mindset around money. Do you see this with some of the business owners that you work with? And how do you help them get over those financial challenges of literally just having really negative energy around money?
Yeah, I that's really good. A lot of them don't understand finance, right? Especially in our world, right? We're talking about your small to medium sized family owned, privately held businesses. You're dealing with people who, in most cases, right, in my world, are entrepreneurs, right? They're good at building a product, right? They're good at buying materials and putting together something to solving somebody's needs. They know nothing about finance. They know nothing about sales. They know nothing about HR. You name it, they don't know it, but they know how to make a really good product. And that's the challenge, right? Is when, yes, I'm very good at making this really good product, but I have no idea as to the bigger picture. When you say money makes people evil, I agree, right? I think money is what makes people go. It's what makes businesses go.
Hmm.
But if you don't understand what you have, you don't understand why you make money, you don't understand why you lose money. It's incredibly frustrating, right? So you take someone like me who's an accountant who sits around numbers, trying to explain numbers to somebody who doesn't know numbers is, you think they hate money, they make me hate money just based on that conversation. But I think you have to find a common ground and equate it back to them, help involve them in the process, but help them to understand that they need to have money people around them in order for the business to be successful, right? Because in the end, it's not a not-for-profit. They're not doing this for charity. In some cases, this is their entire livelihood, right? We have a lot of clients who we work with where their entire nest egg is in the business.
Mhm.
And if the business fails, that's pretty bad, right? I mean, it's pretty bad for the family. It's pretty bad for the kids. Who knows what it does to the next generation? So, yeah, money can suck, but I think money can be really good too, as long as you understand, the bigger picture around you.
I just read a book recently, which has really changed my mindset as an entrepreneur around how I'm operating my business financially. And it's called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Have you ever heard of that book?
I have not.
It
I have
is.
not.
It's a good one. So we're familiar with the equation of revenue less expenses equals profit. His equation, and he's just totally flipped it on its butt, is revenue less profits equals expenses. So you literally take your profit first, and you're not taking 50% of profit out of the business. It's just learning to budget. It's almost like going back to the old days where your grandparents or even your parents used to do the cash envelope budgeting, where they'd go, this is what we're paying for the mortgage, this is for the car. And it would literally in
Right.
envelopes. And then once that money was gone, the spending for that month for that particular thing was gone, or they had to adjust. And I
Right.
really like that mindset and that mentality. From the standpoint of creating better money management for your business, what are some of the challenges that business owners face? And how do you help them overcome the money management to get their business back on track? And if you could give us an example, it would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. So you made a really interesting point at the onset. You said, how did you put it? I'm in.
No,
All right.
and think about it. It's okay because I can Mia will edit this out. If you
Yeah.
want to take a second to think about it, or do you remember what it was about? And I can give you
It was about
said profit. We talked about profit first.
it was people not even understanding their own personal financial situation.
Yeah, personal finances, and that's
Right.
and I made the equation of the envelope or the cash.
Right.
cash
Yeah. So
budget.
right. So if you think about it, right, if people can't manage their own personal finances,
Mhm.
how are you going to manage a business, right? A business is, you know, 10x, 100x, 300x in some cases your own personal net worth. And a lot of your bad habits that translate from your personal life translate over to the business life, right? So we say to people, look, if you can't get your own personal house in order, how are you going to get the business in order, right? So there's a simultaneous kind of clearing of the air here that needs to happen. And it's almost like get your shit together at home and then get your shit together inside the business, right? You're right. Budgeting is a very valuable tool. But you know what? But you know what happens with budgeting? People set it because they say, I'm going into 2025. I need a 2025 budget. I'm going to prepare that budget and I'm never going to look at it again, or every month I'm going to go back and say, how am I doing against that budget? But you know what? A budget is not a static thing, right? A budget changes as the business changes, right? You get a new customer, whatever it is, you add a new business line. Those are all things that budgets need to be modified for. So it's a very effective planning tool if it's used effectively, right? I think it's a lot of people set it and forget it, right? You talk about your fantasy football lineup, you talk about your budget, right? Set it and forget it. That's wrong, right? So if you're going to really have a budget, then stick to it, right? And modify it and make sure it's right.
And one of the things that I've actually had to personally learn about budgeting is the idea of the master account where everything goes into it. No way. That does not work for me because I'm just going to spend and spend and spend and spend till there's nothing left in that account. So I have accounts set up for my taxes, my account set up for my expenses, my account set up for my personal payment that I make to myself, my salary. I have literally 6 different accounts, which all have money that are going to be allocated for what I've budgeted for. So when that account that's $10,000 is down at 2 and I'm halfway through the month, I'm going, oh wait, what just happened here? And I'm not going, oh, I'll just borrow from this. And we have plenty of money left in the account. By splitting it up, it has really helped me focus on it. It's back to that cash envelope budgeting. And I literally do not have this in front of me for any pitch. It just happens to be sitting in front of me. But one of the things that actually really helped me was this business Cube Money, which they do that on a personal standpoint, because what has happened with digital money in today's market, we no longer have any physical contact or connection to money. So if we spend $100 for lunch on our credit card, we spend $100 for lunch. You used to have to dip into your wallet and spend $100 for lunch. And then when you thought about going to lunch again, you're like, this lunch might be $100. And you literally look in your wallet and go, well, I now only have $400 left in my wallet. Do I really want to spend another $100 on lunch? You think 3 times before you spend that money. We don't in the world of digital cash, digital money. How do we help business owners? And that's on the personal side. How do we help them in this world of, digital money, of credit cards, of lines of credit, actually make sure that they're sticking with a budget that they're creating for their business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And just like, your spouse holds you accountable, somebody has to hold the owner accountable as well, right? And say, where's the money going, right? Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, you're a business owner, your people still get paid, right? Even if the business is struggling. Guess who doesn't get paid? You don't get paid, right? So it's very easy to sit there and point the finger and say, well, the salespeople aren't selling and the production people aren't producing. And the accountant's been on vacation for 4 months and the books aren't backed up. Whose fault is that? You can always point the blame inwards, right? And if you're not a leader, then go out and hire one, right? Like I said, it's understanding your strengths and understanding your weaknesses. If you're a really good producer, right? Or you're able to make things, or you're a really good salesman, and your shortcomings are in finance, then go hire the right people, right? And don't hire just based on a number, right? We all try to what? We all try to save money. We all look for an avenue to take shortcuts. You know what happens when you take shortcuts, right? 9 times out of 10, you wind up buying the wrong thing, right? Because you're buying based on price and not based on the need that you really have. So part of this is looking internally, understanding what your real strengths are and understanding what your real weaknesses are. And it's building a team around you that's going to watch out for your back and keep you accountable and say, look, Jared, the sales guys aren't selling. Do we need to replace them? We need to better incentivize them. It's got to be, Jared, a team effort, right? You've got to bring people in. You have to be transparent about what the vision is, right, for the company, where you want to go, how you're going to get there. And we need to ask them the tools that they think they need in order to achieve these goals that we're putting in front of them.
Josh, if the audience takes away anything, what you just said about having a financial accountability buddy, that financial accountability partner is really important for your business. And maybe it is your spouse. Maybe it's somebody who works in the business. Maybe it's a best friend that you can be really candid about, because I do find that a lot of business owners are really embarrassed by their financials. Because you're trying to build a business when you're an SMB, you're not at the level that you want to be, you're getting there and you're putting on a show, and that's what we do. Because first of all, if you have a small business, you are a salesperson, because we're all trying to sell our product and service. And if you can't sell it, you don't get to do it again. So you're a freaking salesperson. Right. And for those of you out there who have an issue with it, get over it. You're a sales crew.
Sales makes the world go round, baby. You're right.
There is. I don't think there's any profession where you're not selling. An attorney is selling that they're the best attorney to provide the service that they're providing. The janitor at the local high school is selling the fact that I keep everything in order. Please make sure that I'm gainfully employed manager the next day. So we're all selling something at all points in times. So having someone that you can be really candid and open with, who's not going to judge you, is really important for the management of your business. And Josh, I've never thought about that, because I've been at points in times in my business where I was like, oh my God, this is a mess and I don't have anybody to talk to and I've got to fix it. That's even more stressful when you can't just have a voice of reason.
Sure. Agreed. And look, and if finances are not your thing and looking at a financial statement is really, really tough, right? And it's not your thing, then you create a set of metrics that you can look at on a monthly basis that will tell you how your business is really operating, right? How long is it taking me to collect my receivables? How long is it taking me to pay my vendors? How frequently is my inventory turning over or not turning over? What's my gross profit, right? What am I supposed to be making when we sell these products versus what it is that we're actually making, right? So you can break it down, right? The numbers don't lie, whether they're in a full financial statement or you pull out 5 key metrics that helps you on a daily, weekly, monthly basis run your business, right? I have people tell me that I know how I'm doing just purely based on the cash in the bank.
I'm glad you said that, because this apparently is a therapy session for me. I've run into those issues too. And I'll tell you what's really helped me is AI, and having a conversation with AI about what I should be doing, and actually programming the AI to not be fluffy and be like, you're doing great, kiddo. You've got $2 in the bag. It's like, no, you're a stupid idiot.
Right.
You failed. Here's how you failed. And here's 3 different ways that you could fix it based on what these market experts would advise you to do. And that has been super beneficial to me. Can you talk about how you're using AI in your business right now to grow your business, but also to help the clients that you work with?
Yeah, sure. So an immediate need for us from an AI perspective was to actually build an intranet. And for us, one of the biggest challenges of the firm growing so quickly is that we've added a tremendous amount of resources, which from my standpoint is fantastic. The biggest problem with that is that not everybody knows who everybody is. And with that, not everybody knows what everybody's skill set is, right? So I may miss out on an opportunity, or I might make a wrong decision because maybe I'm relying on my own expertise. But I know somewhere in this firm of 370 plus people, there's probably somebody who knows, what this is or seen this before. So just the ability to connect people within this giant rocket ship that we're building, just as a second voice, right? Another opinion has been tremendously valuable. Now, we've been using AI for years, just in different capacities. The first time we really embraced it was a couple of years ago when we started using this software to populate tax returns, right? So people would send their documents, the AI would read the information on the documents and populate the tax return. And was it 100% accurate? No. Was it 80% accurate? Yeah, it's pretty good. So what is it doing? It's creating efficiency between the amount of time when the documents come in and we're able to finalize and provide that tax return to the end user. So we're definitely, achieving economies of scale from it. The next big wave, I think, for accountants, and there's a lot of HR policies and everything out there about how you use AI and, what you can say or not say to clients with respect to it, is research, right? I think as time evolves, the research will get better and better. Now you're talking about, right, research as it relates to technical ability.
Right.
This is a service that people historically have paid a premium for that potentially is now at their fingertips, right? So that, for me, working with the client base that we work with is, I don't want to say alarming, right? Because there's always changes to business and there's changes to how you have to adapt to it. But I think it brings you back to, if the information is readily available, what do they need me for, right? And it goes back to the relationship and it goes back to the trust. And even more important than before, I look at is the network of people that I have at my disposal that AI will never have, right? It's that I can help you with your business from any aspect possible. And I could show up and they can't, right? So when so is it there? Yes. Is it incredibly important? Yes. Is it going to create more price sensitivity within my marketplace? 100%. But does it help me change the way that I do business for the better? 100%.
Well, I love what you just said about, and I agree with you with AI. I agree with you with AI. And you also have to really learn to use it properly, because the output is only as good as the input. And
Sure.
people are frustrated with the output because they suck at creating the good input.
Yeah.
To be really frank. So you said something that's important, and it's about, you have experience in so many different aspects of business, especially around the finances. And there's something that I really thought was interesting about when we had our first conversation that you mentioned was, when you go into a business, you should be positioning that business for an exit or a sale. Whether or not you actually sell it or exit it, you should have a long-term purview of what an end point could look like. Can you talk to me a little bit about, and our audience are existing business owners,
Sure.
how you create a plan, an exit plan, a sale plan, whatever you want to call it, as an existing business owner, to make sure that you're meeting the benchmarks that you need to meet to show your business is successful and growing?
Yeah. And I love that. And people at first, it scares them a little bit, because it's like, well, I had no intention of selling my business, but are you telling me maybe I should? Or are you telling me there's opportunities to do so? Right. And I'll say, look, if there's an opportunity out there, why not listen, right? The reality is look at the marketplace around you, right? The market is very hot, right? So there's one aspect of saying, well, if I sit back and do nothing, I'm going to completely miss the boat, right? The other piece of it is, I'm going to learn about what's going on around me, and I'm going to learn what people are doing to maximize value, right? And you can do that without having to spend a lot of money, right? I think a lot of times people attribute getting ready for sale with just opening your piggy bank, right? Like, think about it. If you were going to sell your house, all of a sudden you're like, oh, the kitchen's old, right? I need to redo the bathroom. And before you know it, you're 150 grand in renovations. Will you ever get that back? I don't know. Maybe. But it's not necessarily saying that, look, maybe I need to redo the bathroom. I don't need to redo it right now, but I'm going to redo it a year from now. I need to redo that kitchen. Maybe we can change the appliances now, get a better benefit, and then change the cabinets later, right? It's understanding that there is going to be an investment and not shying away from investment, but understanding that the investments you make and the changes you make today are all about maximizing value. Because the reality is, and I don't know the number, I'm making this up, but I would say that 7 out of 10 businesses that sell were actually not ready to sell, right? I think a lot of these deals fall out of the sky and the money is too good to pass up. But you know what happens when you go through this due diligence? Somebody's coming in from the outside and they're going to find every reason to tell you why your business is not as valuable as you think it is, right?
But you know what's so funny? I want to interrupt you. The analogy that you just gave for a house is actually really important because many of our listeners are business owners, they're homeowners, they've bought and sold property. When you go to sell a property, what's the first thing the real estate agent tells you to do? Clean the carpets, refinish the wood floors, paint the walls, clean out the closets, redo a bathroom, redo a kitchen, replace appliances, redo your landscaping. So you're getting your home in tip-top shape to get top dollar because the buyer coming in does not want to perceive that they have to do work, because the more work that they have to do to get that home at 100%, because everybody wants a new car. Nobody wants a 25-year-old car unless it's a really great, perfect car. And I've had the 20-year-old cars because I was stupid and thought they were cool. And I waste a lot of money anyway. But getting your home in order is going to help you get top dollar. Getting your business in order, if you were to sell, helps you get top dollar, but it helps you run your business more efficiently. Think about how you feel in your home when you walk in and the living room has been painted. You have new carpet and new wood floors, new furniture. Everything is in order. It's not sticky from your sticky little kids. There's not dog hair all over everything. You're like, right. Oh God, I really like my house. This is a great space. Imagine if you could run your business like that.
You learn to minimize and eliminate the waste, right? Because you're saying, if somebody else were to come in and sit in my chair and work with my people, the first question they're going to say is this necessary? Why are we doing this? If we're doing this because we've been doing it for 100 years, to me, that's not the answer, right? So it creates a much different mindset, right? Is the way I look at it, as to how you come in and run your business on a day-to-day. And by the way, to have a set of professionals who are in tune with that same approach means everything, right? And the biggest knock on my profession, and I'll be the first one to say it, is that people are afraid to lose clients because they lose the annuity, right? Yeah. And if you're working with a client who you're afraid, if you are working with an accountant who can't be honest with you, all over fear of potentially losing the business because of an event that is the right thing to do for you and your family, you better find yourself another trusted professional, right? Mm. For me, if I go in it's funny, I was on a call with somebody before. They said, look, we're very interested in working with you. We understand you don't work with public companies. If we're around if we're not around in a year or two from now, is that okay? I know you're going to make an investment in time in the relationship. And I said, God bless you. That is, I wouldn't change that for the world. Why would I get in the way of your success? And going back to what you said before, you have to be a salesman. If I say no, I look desperate. That's not the position you want to be in when you're doing sales, right?
That is not at all the position that you want to be in. And it's funny because, a really good accountant, and this is something that I learned recently, is the SBA has a 7A program. And in that 7A program, you can sell your business to a key employee, and the underwriting standards are far more lax. This is really meant for more smaller or medium-sized businesses because the capital you could get is up to about $5 million.
Sure.
But if you have someone who might be looking for an exit and your accountant says to you, well, do you have any employees that might be good buyers for the business? And they might say yay or nay. But if they say yay, then there's actual programs where you can help your employees buy the business from you. And then you, as the accountant, you're still retaining that business because they're going to trust you as the person who created the opportunity for them as the key employee to buy that property. So, or buy that business. So I love what you're saying about it's really important that you have professionals like you, Josh, who are willing to create solutions that are unique for your business that benefit you exactly where you are in your life cycle.
Absolutely.
So talk to me about how you work with businesses who are actually preparing for a sale.
Sure. So I think there's a common misconception, right? That a buyer is only going to come in and look at my numbers and look at my financials, and that's going to be the only thing that they focus on.
Mhm.
And the reality is sure, that's really important, but it only gets you 50% of the way, right? So there's a very important, scrubbing of the numbers that has to take place. There's understanding what normalized EBITDA looks like. And,
Mm.
again, pulling out those one-time or owner type expenses that are non-recurring in nature, all with hopes to make the numbers look better.
Right.
But then there's a whole other side, right? There's policies and procedures, right?
Mhm.
If somebody new comes into the organization and you're not there, are they going to be able to pick up and do your job, right? Policies and procedures, very important, right? Human resources, very important, right? Corporate documentation and structure, very important. Tax filings, sales tax, use tax, income tax, all extremely important. Making sure key employees are happy and are going to continue with the business, very important, right? All those things that I just mentioned could have just as much of an effect on the value of the company as the numbers themselves, right?
So I think we're going to have to do another episode and have you on and go over that list because I'm not in the position of thinking of selling my business right now, but you just pointed out some things that I didn't even think of. I mean, obviously we all know you need to have the SOPs because if you don't have standard operating procedures where you're not the business, and that's one of the key things, your business needs to be the business. And if you're the business, you don't have a business that has tangible value to anyone. So you're literally just working a job. So the SOP, having the HR policy and procedures in place, your corporate docs, sales tax, use tax, income tax, tax returns, making sure your key employees are happy. I mean, those are 8 different things that you just gave us that you need to have in place and truly buttoned up before you go to sell your business as a business owner. And those are things that I would have been like, let me make sure my financials are buttoned up. And SOP I would have in order, but the other 7, I don't know if I would have those buttoned up.
and that's what happens, right? And some of those are easier to deal with than the actual, metrics, the financial metrics of the company.
Hmm.
But those are areas that are people just disregard and see as unimportant because, again, somebody is going to come in and buy my business because they think it makes a lot of money or it fills a hole within their portfolio or whatever it might be, or, they want my IP. That's another thing you can add to that list too. A lot of people have their own IP that's not patented, right? Which means your secret sauce is out there for the rest of the world because you didn't want to spend a couple bucks to do it the right way. So, when you talk about someone coming in and really asking the right questions, that's what this is about.
So what we're going to do, and I'm all in all seriousness, we're going to have you come back on and we're going to go through those 9 steps, and there might even be more about how we should be looking at preparing to sell a business, because for our audience, I do know it's going to be valuable, whether or not you're selling your business, because these are all things that you need to have in order to have a true functioning business. One thing that, before we go into our fun rapid fire section, I would love to hear from you about some of the future trends that you're seeing in accounting right now and the impact that they're going to have on our audience of business owners.
Man, so the accounting profession is evolving so rapidly, right? And I think that's being caused largely by the amount of consolidation that's happening, whether that's by strategics or private equity. And again, the reasons why they want to get in this space, they make a lot of sense, right? They want an annuity business. I think for a firm like ours, which is still very much independently owned, and we've done the right thing and we've transitioned the business to the next generation, and we're poised and we're excited to go do this for as long as we can, is even if you're not owned by private equity, right, or owned by a strategic, and this translates very, very much to the business world too, you have to operate as if you are owned that way. Right? Going back to the point we made before about running your business as if it's going to be sold, right? I'm competing against private equity. What are they trying to do? Maximize the value of the investments they're making. How do you do that? You incentivize people to work harder, right? You strip out the waste and you put people on the street and you tell them to go sell. And you tell them to work harder and you tell them to build value and you tell them you better go cross service. You know, we could talk about that too, but this whole concept of cross-selling, right? And being able to sell different areas of the firm. Even as a sales guy, I hate this term, right? I look at it as cross-service, right? If I have services at the firm that I'm not bringing to you as the client, then I'm not doing my job. Forget about selling. I'm going to get my money if I'm doing the right thing. So if there are things that the firm can help you with and I'm not bringing those to your attention, I'm not doing my job, right? So this whole consolidation that's happened in the marketplace has put the emphasis back on the client, right? And that's delivering the best service you can and being able to provide them with everything at your disposal, more than just your mind, right? And your industry expertise. It's helping them with technology. It's about helping them with wealth management and investing. It's about helping them identify what their own succession looks like within their business. It's about helping them with their own legacy planning, right? What happens when you leave the business? There's so many things that are just not accounting, right? I think accounting is almost like a term of the past, which is why I don't use it. Right? We talked about it in the beginning. It's what do? I own and run a business. And I'm working with other people who own and run a business. And that's how we bond. And for me, that's the formula.
That's awesome. Josh, you gave us so many good takeaways. Wow, I'm excited for the audience to get their hands on this, because this has a ton of value. So now we're going to get to the fun stuff. You ready for the rapid fire session?
Can't wait.
So what is your favorite New York sports team?
Oh, New York Giants.
Here we go, baby. Now, by the way, that was special for you. I've never asked that question.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. As painful as it is right now on November 26th, I'm still a New York Giants fan.
Right. It's a zombie apocalypse and you've got to get out of the house and protect your family, what is your one weapon of choice that you're going to take with you?
Oh, boy. What is one weapon of choice? Listen, I got to be honest. I'm a hungry guy. I got to make sure I'm fed. I don't know when the next time I may eat. So I don't know. That weapon may be a microwave or something.
God, I love that. That is by far the best answer we've received so far. And a microwave, mic drop. All right, next question. What is one book that you would recommend to our audience of entrepreneurs and business owners to read that will help them run their business more efficiently?
Yeah, Jared. So I'm a guy, I love leadership. For me, every day it is a new opportunity for me to learn how to lead better. one book, and it's actually written by a good friend of mine, Awaken Your Potential by Chad Reyes. If you learn how to lead and people follow you, everything else falls in line. And you can relate it to all aspects of your life, whether it's your business, your personal. We talked at length about if your own house isn't in order, how's the business going to be in order? So there's a lot of things that you can take between the two, I think is very important.
Awesome. I love that. So do you have a coach or a mentor?
So I do have a mentor, and my mentor actually is the first person who I met when I joined this firm, and that is Joe Damiano, who is the firm's managing partner. He took me in as his mentee as a young punk-ass kid out of Binghamton University who didn't pass a CPA exam right away, wasn't of the highest IQ, but he saw my potential and helped me realize at an early age in the firm that even though I was in a profession that was heavily driven by IQ, and that meant everything, it was really the AQ and the EQ that was going to help put me in a position to be successful 20 years from then, 30 years from then, and be a future leader of this firm. So while some people might say I wasn't as smart as everybody else, I look at it and say I was 15 years ahead of my time.
Beautiful.
And look at me now, baby.
Look at me now. Well said. Well said. Let's say you are a small business owner who's doing $10 million in annual revenue, and I walk through your front door and I hand you a $300,000 check. In general, how would you suggest that business owner invest that $300,000 to grow their profits over the next year?
I'm going to go hire the best salesman I can find, because sales drives everything, right? The biggest miss of any CFO is they come in and they look at how to control costs and minimize costs. And while that's important, it's the revenue and the top line growth that is the main driver for business.
I love that. What is the biggest obstacle that you have had to overcome in your life to get to the level of success that you have today in your business?
Wow, it's really good. The biggest obstacle that I overcame in my career was not changing who I am, what I believed in, and my morals. I actually took the unpopular path in the firm and came up in an industry service group that maybe wasn't considered as sexy or desirable as some of the others. But the person who took me to the promised land is one of the greatest thinkers, one of the greatest entrepreneurs, one of the weirdest dudes, but a tremendous, tremendous person who I've looked up to this day. And he was instrumental in keeping me on that track and saying, look, if you really believe in this, if you really love this, if you really want to do this, then you only have to answer to yourself. So I took the unpopular route. It's probably strange that I'm in the position that I am, but I never changed who I was, and I always was me.
Awesome. Josh, please tell the audience where they can connect with you if they would like to do so.
Yeah, so I'm right here in beautiful Parsippany, New Jersey. SAX LLP, such a great place. I've been here for 21 years. I wouldn't change it for anything. It's, you know what? I've made the most of my time. I've worked really, really hard, but I was fortunate to find a firm that invested in me like I invested in them.
Awesome.
And it's been a tremendous run, and we're here to help.
Awesome. And we will put your contact information in the podcast so they can reach out to you. Josh Chananie, thank you so much for joining us on 0 to 100.
Jared, my guy, thank you, brother.
Thanks for tuning in to 0 to 100 podcast. We hope you feel inspired and ready to accelerate your business. Remember, your journey to success starts with a single step. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for greatness. For more resources and show notes, visit jaredguyrandolph.com. We'll see you next time.